Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So this will probably be one of the most intriguing videos that I've done in quite some time. I've followed spiritually a lot of this information for most of my life, and a lot of the answers to this mathematically, scientifically, and so forth are going to come through. So we're going to talk about Brent Knudsen is a visionary leader who saw early on that math, quantum physics, and frequencies would shape the future. After building and selling one of Canada's largest payment processing companies, he turned his focus and his money to his true passion, exploring how sacred geometry and quantum energy can help heal people and the planet. Today, as founder and CEO of 4RBEES, all capitals, Brent is leading a global mission to protect pollinators, restore balance to nature, and bring quantum wellness technology to the world. Brent, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a real pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, this is a great honor. I think you're coming from the past and the future and everything in between to reveal your information. We're all honored, and I think everyone's going to be very intrigued. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this.
Yeah, well, it typically in life, you never know what truly you're called upon down the road. But my background is from Ventec, so my background was all mathematic and forensic and algorithms to set up for payment solutions, and this would be in the 90s. And in Canada, that's controlled by a limited amount of banks, and so we realized there was a boutique opportunity to merchants to handle specific needs that they'd have, and I put together a lot of the algorithms for that math. But in math, like geometry, the language, it's very similar. So because I did all of that, I was fascinated when I discovered sacred geometry, we're going back 30 years, and seeing the similarities about how this math and this geometry then correlated to frequency, which with frequency back then was really just a concept for most people. Today, people are way more educated on these things, and so I started to notice that this was altering frequencies, whether you're moving money around or whatever you're doing. So we built up the company to a large extent, and then in 2010 it was bought over by Goldman Sachs, because we were a public company, and it allowed me to cut loose to pursue my passion, which was discovering what these frequencies could do and what geometric forms or geometry produced frequencies that really mattered to us at a health level, at a cellular level. So that's what was driving me, was really health issues.
Kind of like your payment processing? Was that kind of like PayPal?
Oh yeah, but before, no, it was before. It was actually built into the debit and credit the debit and credit machines that were processing in those days. Now here in Canada, it was all controlled by what was called Interact, with the controlling banks, and so the software or the algorithms was for how to move that money in and out. And we started a boutique which was handling the small business owners because they weren't looked after very well, and so we built up 20,000 stores and gave them loyalty programs. So it was, but my end of it was really setting up these mathematical configurations, and that's what ties into the geometry. So I just wanted to show how that correlated. And then when I was on my own, all I was
like Elon Musk type of relationship, but Elon I don't think had the brilliant mind like you do. So it's very interesting.
Well, you know what it was, really, Michael, what it was just observation. Is like I started to see it. And then what happened, this is what was really exciting. Once I found a certain geometric form, which is the flower of life, and star tetrahedron, which is the Star of David, It was everywhere. It was everywhere in history, all religions. It's in corporate signals that you see it in corporations. You see it on law enforcement. That's why law enforcement has stars on them. And it's really interesting as to where this all came from. So I realized there was something really profound and what then diving down that hole, what I found out is that we were looking at two-dimensional objects that then went into the atom itself, which was quantum physics, where you could then start to alter and affect cells. Now cells not only in humans, but in insects, plants, and all table. And then what I found out is when you and I and everybody, when we were as a one-celled creature and organism, the first thing we did is we split into the flower of life as a blueprint. And we have that we will show that to you under microscopic. And that's when I knew that's where the communication was coming. And so I had to follow that. And then what I needed to do is, well, how can I glue it? Because once you see the configuration, it's always moving, it's morphing. So it morphs around. I needed to fix it. And that's when I thought instead, well, magnets would be the best way to fix it. Plus, in history, way back in history, they would have probably used crystals and magnets because that's what they had available. And I started to work with these strong neodymium magnets and then worked on cutting the petals in the magnets so that they would form the geometry and the magnets would then produce the energy of it. And then I put it in a casing that you see back here, and we'll talk about that, so I could lock that frequency in so those magnets couldn't come together, because they want to come together inside there, and we'll show it. Those magnets are laid down, and they're up to 48,000 Gauss in that PureWave cell. So they're doing this. They want to come. If you open it up, they'll all snap together. But I don't allow them to snap together because I want to hold that shape. And that's how I did it. I locked it in. Now, and it'll hold it for 20 years. Neodymium magnets will not lose that strength where other magnets will. And it's incredible when you start working with them. And so that's, I'm going a little bit further ahead, but that's how I got into producing that particular product.
Yeah, everything's like frequency and vibration, and some of the stuff I've looked at throughout the years. We talked about this before the show, was the flower of life, and the temples in Egypt, they have bee carvings everywhere. So obviously, and I think one of the videos we're going to share this has been all around the world, and this has been hidden from us now. But with your technology, you're bringing it back, and all the stuff that we're subjected to, the frequencies that are not so good for us, alternating currents and all that kind of stuff, you've basically gotten to the DC current, which Tesla was trying to give us free energy here in the world.
Yeah, well, that's well said, because the magnets are a DC currency because they're an Earth frequency. So that's where the difference of the AC, which is usually manipulated or man-made, where you get into coils and so forth. So I want that, very important to have that. So what we're really looking at, the Earth, and I'll be very, brief on this without getting it. So the Earth has what's called a PEMF frequency, pulse electric magnetic frequency. And how they found this out, when they first sent astronauts into space in the 50s, their whole body started to ache because it was outside of that frequency. It's basically a 0 to 30 hertz frequency. And it's caused by the magma, or the Earth geomagnetic magnet that spins, and the Schumann is the lightning strikes that hit Earth. People don't realize lightning hits the Earth 25 million times a day because you just don't see it. It's everywhere. And so that combination is this pulse electric magnetic frequency. Now, there's entire companies that have mats and have all kinds of replicas. And so they replicate these frequencies because the body responds. So NASA recreated it. This is where it came from. Massive research. There's just there is absolutely no doubt of what it does. It's like for circulation, for pain relief, bone fracturing. So all of this is available for people to go down that and see. What I was looking for is something at a cellular level that would affect the cells. In other words, your cells are like little batteries. That if you picture a little battery, If your cell is more than 40% charged up, it virtually cannot have cancer. And how we know that? The only cancer that doesn't exist is heart cancer. You've never even heard of heart cancer. It's your highest electrical field. So what we want to do is charge the rest of the body up that way because it's already proven of what it does. And that's what this does. That's what this magnetic frequency does if you have the right signature. And the signature, the ancients have shown us what the signature is, because what they were really showing was quantum physics. We interpret it because we see it flat. We always see that, we see the flower of life flat, but what you're really looking at, if you round it out and circle it, and I'll show you in the video, is you're getting into the atom itself. Wow. And then when you get into the atom, everything that exists, whether it's living or non-living, is made up of atoms. So we're all made of the same stuff, but what separates it is the frequency that we vibrate at. So that's what separates everything. Now you start to play with that, you can make huge changes. Now that's what I was into. So there's so many people that are amazing and are so scholared on sacred geometry and have amazing courses and so forth. But that's not where I wanted to go. I didn't want to become an expert that went on and talking about, what sacred geometry and where you see it. I wanted to capture it, and I wanted to know what it could do for us. And then what turned out is into insects and what it could do for the bees. So I wanted results. I wanted some result that was happening rather than just talking about it or just understanding it. So that's what was driving me. And I spent 5 years of just, dropping out, going at it. I built a lab to test in, because I had to get a lab where I could block out all the bad EMF frequencies and radio waves and microwaves. So I did that too, and we can show you what that looks like. Awesome. And then inside, it's set up so that I could do the testing to get a pure form on these magnets. And in the building, there's a tube that comes up with the DC currency from the ley lines. It was an incredible journey to go through this, and I'm making light of it, but it was the hardest thing I ever did, really. And at one point, when I finally heard about the bees in 2015, about the decline, the super decline, wow. Because friends and colleagues were coming to me and telling me about this, I was so hesitant. They said, well, you've got to go and take a look and do testing and everything. I thought to myself, I'm just in bliss here doing my own thing, and I was like, I don't want to go back out to the public and to the world, because I knew what that was going to do. That was going to subject me. So what I decided to do, and you might like this, is I'm not going to go on the human health avenue, because the better I get at that, the more heat I'll get. So I thought, well, the insects and the placebo and doing that, let's go that route. And I went that route. And what ironically happened is all the people got on board anyway. So it was a reverse way of doing it. But I don't have anybody bothering me, because I'm not bothering the medical, in our medical world, we live in a world, what's called a world of chemistry. We're in the world of chemistry, so that's why pharmaceuticals, right? Mm-hmm. Where we're going is the world of physics, so that is vibrational medicine. Oh, but I love it. Just like with everything, there's a real hula in between, right?
Yep. Now, this is very important, because the bee hive collapse is very real. If we lose the bees, then we're going to starve, because the bees pollinate, so many plants and so forth. If they're not out there pollinating, which is happening, we're going to have a collapse in the food system. Now, what is amazing is you went into the beehives and you took your technology into beehives. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was funny in the beginning. I started off with a holistic beekeeper, so that was a little easier, because all the commercial ones, mm-hmm. They didn't want anything to do with it. They're all skeptical, and so I got a hold of one, and Christine had 12 hives, and what I liked about it is she had them maybe 50 yards apart. So she had 6 hives and then 6 hives, but they were only like 50 yards apart. So they were all feeding in the same area and so forth. So I said, would you allow me to put in the 6 hives, put the PureWave Cell in them starting the season? Do what you do with the other hive, where you're treating them, chemically for varroa mites and so forth, and just go through the season, and I'll pick up with you in September, and let's see what's going on. And so it was all controlled and it was all the same. It was phenomenal. So the bees that had the PureWave Cell produced 3 times the honey, had swarmed, had doubled, and the other ones had just normally had poor, like a poorer performance. So that's where it started. That, you know, that, and then I started to convince a larger third generational commercial beekeepers to try it out. And then we did a 3-year study with them on that. And they told me the only reason they agreed to do it is I gave it to them for free, and it was easy. Like they didn't have to do anything; they just put it in the hive, right? And so we just last fall finished that 3-year study, which again we'll show here, and this is all on the website. And then it had its definitive between entire bee yards that had the cell and didn't, and now we have over 250 beekeepers. So it just keeps coming in, the difference. And then what we can do is show everybody why there's a difference and what it's doing.
The technology is going into the bees, which is going into the honey, and then we ingest the honey and we get that technology in us, and that's how you're circumventing the big pharma industry. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, that's well said. Because what happened is, this is what happens. Out of a byproduct, we went to the beekeepers, the commercial ones, and said, "Look, I'll take that honey. I'll buy that honey from you. Don't sell it to," because normally, let's say, for example, the first year we did it, I think he was getting something like $2 and something, like a pound of to sell the honey to people who would bottle it and so forth. I said, don't do that. I want that honey out of those hives that have the PureWave Cell in it. And what I want to do is I'll pay you $1 more for it. So in other words, it was fair value. So now they're getting more. So he's like, yeah, are you kidding? How much do you want? Where is it? Right. So I took all of that.
I'm so glad you were rich in doing that. Oh my God. The world is, it's going to be very thankful.
So what happened then, I said, okay, well, liquid honey crystallizes, and so you have to heat it and so forth. That's why sometimes you see crystals and so forth. So I found the processor that would cream the honey. So they would cream the honey so it never will be heated. I want it raw. I want it creamed. I don't want it ever touched that way. And so we got all that, did that, and then part of the development that came out of the PureWave Cell is I have a larger instrument. It's called a Chrysalis E that has cylinders with magnets that spin inside it. And what it does is it allows me to change the frequency based on the speed, because now we're into magnetics, geometry, and motion, whereas the PureWave Cell is just geometry and magnetics. Once I did that, I started to treat the honey at about 7.43 hertz into the honey that's already been bottled, because it'll go right through. And then we did cryptography, like electrography on it, to show it before and after. And it just high energy, energized honey. And that's our honey that we sell on our site. There is only that honey in the world. There's nothing like it, because it comes from source. Yeah. And that's it. And that is now also what's great about it. And I'll let you tell the audience, the taste, because of where that comes from, and the consistency. And you never put that in hot water, so you don't use it for your tea and all that, or you'll break the enzymes.
Okay.
Use some other sweetener for that. Just eat that for gut health and for parasites and so forth. Amazing.
So yeah, I tried it. It's exquisite, and I'm a frequency guy. So when I tried it, I had a little bit of a stuffy nose, and it completely is gone. Boom. I mean, and then I went down, I started rowing, see what kind of energy I would have and how it would feel. And it was very smooth. I had lots of endless energy. I could still be down there rowing. So it's incredible. I'm amazed. Absolutely amazed. Very good stuff.
Well, I'm a consumer of it. I'm a user. You know, I take about a full tablespoon every day of it for me. And I need that because, hey, listen, you know, I'm hitting the upper scale now, right? So, you know, this year I turned 70, so it's like, you know, I need this stuff, right?
Great.
So,
good job, Brent.
you know, yeah, well, hey, that's frequency medicine. You start fooling around with that, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good at keeping you intact, you know. Nice. But this is where that's the byproduct that I was lucky enough to get out of it. The more I studied, like as you say, frequencies, but I was more curious as to what it would do meditatively and health wise.
Mm.
So that's what led to the cellular. And as I started getting the results, it was just more exciting and more exciting. And then with being able to deal with the bees and the solutions to helping. Now, we don't just use the technology. We also now have to the point, because the public have been so amazing at supporting us through shows like yourself, we now provide seedings, because food source for the bees is huge on the wildflower and seeding, and we're building stronger queens. So what happened last year, 70% in average of bee decline was happening, but in our PureWave cells, we were losing maximum 10%, if at all. So the comparison was huge. It's just that we're not in enough of it, but that's going to change next year. Next year, I intend to get in, 200,000-300,000 hives at the very minimum, and billions and billions of bees, because we're going to go on a campaign to get these cells in hundreds of thousands of hives, and at no charge for the beekeepers, just supporting them, right? So
that's fantastic. Now, I know. Yes, beehive collapse is a real problem. I know they truck in bees in hives, and where they're doing almonds, or here in California,
that's right,
fruits and so forth. But they don't last long. So this is going to be quite helpful to them, and I think it's going to really catch.
Well, it allowed, like, that good point, because I'll just make a point of it. One of the commercial beekeepers, they used to do apples, like for apple orchards and things like that, and blueberries, but it really beats the bees up, right? Moving them around and so forth. Yeah. Now that we're doing this and extra producing and fair value, they stopped all that. They went a whole different way. So we can actually change the dynamics of how we're getting this done. And then as we get more momentum to it, I can get into those industries and start making changes, because everybody wants the bees to be healthier. And what we're doing is we're just building their immune system. They're still subject to all of that 5G and pesticides, and just like you and I are in our hives. But what we're doing is building the immune system for them so that they can withstand it, so that they can get through. And when they populate, the offspring are stronger as well. So it's just like with us. And so it's a good start.
It's the same thing with the heart frequency, like you were talking about. So you're creating that frequency that is not cancerous. You reach a certain frequency, and you're no longer cancerous, or you're no longer affected by chemtrails or 5G or all these things. Wow, this is unbelievable.
Well, look at the reverse. You'll like this. If you and I were sitting together, I was down in your place, and we were then exposed to radiation for about 6 hours today, right? We would feel nothing. No, like absolutely nothing. But 2 weeks from now, we would start denigrating down and go into cancer, right? This is the reverse. So this is the reverse. The more you're exposed, the stronger it gets. Because if frequency can take you down, such as radiation, frequency can take you up. And that's what we're talking about, right? Just that difference.
Wow. So with these super bees, is that going to have any kind of effect on the plant life as well eventually?
Well, so they pollinate 70% of the plants.
Right.
Well, the bees do two things. If you have bee decline, it's 70% of the food we eat is based on their pollination. So that's one. But number two, declining, it's an indication of a denigration of the ecological system, right? So that's a breakdown. So it's giving two indications there. Now, how do we bring it back? Well, the more bees that are in there, just like if you took an area that you want flooded, you stick a bunch of beavers in there, all of a sudden you're going to have quite the flooding going on, right? So you get more bees in there, and all of a sudden you're going to start changing the ecology for the better. It's just right. So thing now, we're getting people that are notifying us that they have nowhere. When they pass away, they've got nowhere to leave this tracts of land, and they want to leave it, freeze it strictly for bees and ecology. So we're going to be handling a lot of that too in the future, right?
That's incredible.
And now we have beekeeper in Africa, like Kenya, and now they're starting with, because of what it's doing for them and producing honey, they're now sending that to girls' schools and for their village for food sources. And we have those on video about what they're doing and what the feedbacks are. So we're down far enough that the beekeepers, can let your audience know just how well it's working for them. Things like that.
Awesome. So you want to watch one of these videos?
What I thought we would do is, because we talked about the synchro geometry, like where it comes from, I thought we'd start there to show you and I put this together. So this is not from somewhere. This is our own stuff, as to why I saw that I needed to use this shape that led to the PureWave Cell. Then what we can do is show you the PureWave Cell video about what it is doing, because it also cleans food. Do you know what food is? When you get it from the grocery store, it has things like E. coli in it, or Staphylococcus, or Listeria. Those are all in it. That's why you have mild food poisoning. That's why Pepto-Bismol gets sold, right? So what happens is, we took food from the grocery stores, put it on the cell for 5 minutes, took it to a lab, did the test for 5 minutes, and it was reducing these 50 and 80 and 100%. So what it was doing is it neutralized it, just like sound canceling headphones. You use one sound to cancel another. That's what we can do with pathogens. So anyway, we'll leave it, right?
Right.
And so let's start on that video, and then that'll give some people some perspective, and we can talk about that.
So if Lisa brings that up, if not, then I'll bring it up.
It's under the story we need to remember, I think, is what the title of it is.
Okay.
To truly understand the principles of this technology, we need to first examine where we come from, where we are now, and where we are going. Our ancient ancestors possessed a profound knowledge that we are only coming to understand today. Throughout human history, in every time period, in every culture, in every major religion, one geometric shape has continuously been present throughout the ages: the star tetrahedron. This perfectly aligned six-pointed star has been discovered in almost every religious culture in human history. It's been found in the architecture and decor of ancient Christian churches, Jewish synagogues, and Islamic mosques. It has also been found in ancient civilizations and cultures throughout Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. However, with all its references in ancient texts and artwork, the star tetrahedron was not often used as an exclusive symbol to represent any one religion or culture. Historically, the star tetrahedron was regarded more as a divine diagram with the potential to connect us to a higher power. A broader example of the star tetrahedron can be found in another symbol revered by the ancients: the flower of life. The star tetrahedron's six-pointed geometric shape is very prominent within the flower of life pattern, where its shape multiplies infinitely within it. These shapes were revered by the ancients as the symbols of the creation of energy and frequency, the blueprint of all matter. But in reality, these ancient symbols are actually two-dimensional representations of a three-dimensional object, the atom. The atom is one of the most important scientific discoveries in quantum physics. It is regarded by science as the building block of all physical matter, energy, and frequency. The atom contains a nucleus, which is made up of protons and neutrons. Electrons, through electromagnetic force, orbit the nucleus. This combination of geometry, magnetism, and motion creates frequency. Everything that exists in the universe, from solid objects to living organisms, contains this exact atomic material. The core denominator that makes one object different from another object is frequency. Frequency is the catalytic force that dictates the design of all the structures of matter in the universe. The atomic symbol is an exact representation of these principles, and so was the star tetrahedron in ancient times. In fact, looking a little closer around the nucleus of the atomic symbol, we see a familiar shape: the star tetrahedron. This is no coincidence. And it's no coincidence that the star tetrahedron's geometric pattern aligns perfectly with the electromagnetic structure of the atom. The ancients knew what science has only discovered within the last 100 years, that everything that exists in the universe, including all of us, is merely a combination of energy, frequency, and vibration, and that we are all intrinsically connected by it. The star tetrahedron and the flower of life are the geometric blueprints of this profound architecture. Today, the star tetrahedron and the flower of life pattern can actually be seen on a microscopic level through mitosis, the process of cell division and the creation of life. Humans begin as a single cell. That cell then multiplies into 2 cells, and these 2 cells then multiply into 4 cells, in a multiplication pattern that continues trillions of times over until we are formed. When observed through a microscope, we can see that this growth pattern is literally mirrored by the pattern of the star tetrahedron and the flower of life symbols, giving us further evidence that these geometric patterns represent the creative power of all matter. Furthermore, within each one of us, there are over 100 trillion cells, and within each cell, there are over 100 trillion atoms, all releasing powerful quantum energy. The astronomical amount of atoms in the body, all simultaneously releasing these quantum frequencies throughout every cell, creates a massive accumulated frequency that surrounds and flows throughout the body. This vibrational force is known universally as the torus field, and it surrounds everything in nature, as well as our entire planet. The Earth's torus field can actually be observed in the aurora borealis. The torus energy within our bodies is designed to symphonize with nature and the Earth's torus field. Frequency connects us to nature and the Earth in ways we could never have imagined. Our torus field is responsible for maintaining our health from a cellular level. 10 to 20 billion cells die every day, and an equal amount of cells are replaced by the body. The difference between people who rebuild healthy cells versus unhealthy cells is determined by what we are exposed to within our environment. If we are exposed to the harmonious energy fields of the Earth and nature, our bodies will continuously rebuild healthy cells. But if we are exposed to unnatural, non-harmonious frequencies, our bodies will rebuild unhealthy cells. Harmonious frequencies are the keystones of our health and well-being, and the electromagnetic force of the star tetrahedron and the flower of life pattern creates these harmonious frequencies that we now know are essential for life.
Wow, that's a fantastic video. I got so much from that. Imagine they would teach that in schools. I remember, learning about the atom. I was so into physics, but the math side, which is your strong point, was weak in me. But if we had the right educational system, I think that we would understand this more and be able to absorb like something like this and go, oh, of course, it's taken me most of my life to, get to the point where I can understand this because of all the disinformation that comes through. We know that's for a reason, to keep us dumbed down so that we're controlled by a system that, uses us. What are your thoughts on that, Brent?
Yeah, it's first of all, the focus has never been in our educational system on this aspects of real into life. It's been geared. It's been totally geared for preparing you for something else, right? So that whatever that is, and we see that today more than ever, and that people. Like, and you said it well. If you want to start to uncover, or you want to start to see what nature really is going on, you're going to have to be an observer. You're going to have to go out and start to really observing what's going on. And an example, I remember one time I was sitting on my porch, and of course you're alone. You're not conversing with anybody. You're just doing your own thing. And I saw this huge spider web, again with the geometry in it. So that was that was what was interesting me. And then there was a big spider, and I saw this wasp come along, and it hit the web, and the spider was coming towards it, and then it broke free. And I thought, hey, it's your lucky day. You didn't, you got to break away. And then it went out and it came back in and hit. And I thought, and when the spider came again, it grabbed the spider. It was hunting the spider and took it. So that was reverse of what I thought was going on, right? That through that observation. And that led me to that. If you really want to start to know, you've got to, so you take these ancient, you go back to the ancients and carvings and so on, and you go, what is that though? Like what are they really expressing here, and where's that coming from? And and I saw these pictures from the Masonic Lodge, the head lodge in Philadelphia, and the chairs that they have there. What is above the chair but the flower of life and star tetrahedron and everything? And they brought that from Mesopotamia. When they did the Templars, they brought all of that back. So it came through there, and it went into Egypt. Then Egypt dealt with it. Then it went into Rome, right? And then it went into the Roman Catholic Church, right? So it all flowed through. But this is what it's really about us. This stuff is about us, and it's about the way the universe works with us and nature, so that's why I found it so exciting and profound. And then trying to figure out, okay, well, what part can I play in it? Like what can I do with this, that allows me to to go out and integrate something. And that's where this came from.
Wow. Fantastic. So I like what you're talking about as far as like, so you would set your food on this to frequent,
5 minutes. The next video we're going to show, Michael, that we'll show, it'll have all that in there. It'll actually show the lab we send it to, what do you put it on? It'll give the, and it'll also talk about a bit of the beekeepers. So talk when we put it in there, what was going on with them. So if you want to play that, it's better for the audience because then they could see it.
Yeah, there were some questions about, how beekeepers could get involved with this. So that this will be good.
We'll talk about that.
Welcome to the world of inventions for energy medicine. I'm Bee Broda. According to the Canadian Association of Professional Apiculturists, Canada lost almost 50% of their bee population in 2022. Researchers at the University of Waterloo feel insecticides are compromising the bee's immune system. Dr. Magda Havis, Professor Emerita at Trent University School of the Environment, believes magnetic fields also play an important role in the health and wellness of the honeybee population.
We did some research at Trent University where we were studying the effects of radiofrequency radiation on the bees. We had some beehives at a farm and exposed them to current household items that we have that emit wireless radiation. One of the things we noticed is that the bees started coming out of the hive very, very quickly.
You look at their behavior, they're all just quite happily, they're not running around, they're kind of very settled, they're fanning, they're keeping the place cool and protecting, as these ones are running up and down at the entrance. The sounds here is not normal.
Dr. Havis is participating in a long-term research study on the use of geomagnetic fields to enhance insect and human immune systems and negate the effects of environmental pollution that may be causing the collapse of the honeybee population. This research is based upon a geometric array of 12 high-intensity magnets that are encased inside a hard enclosure to create a PureWave cell. The opposing polarities of the magnets create a spiral vortex that emanate outwards in all directions. This spiral pattern can be observed with magnetic viewing film. Liquid ferrofluid placed in a dish on top of the PureWave cell shows the invisible, evenly spaced magnetic lines rising upwards. This is an internal view of the magnets. A PureWave cell can be used to control the growth of pathogens. The vortex suppresses bacterial infestation. Spores grown in a petri dish that were not exposed to the magnet shows a proliferation of fungal growth. A study has been completed at Pathogenia food laboratories to determine the efficiency to reduce pathogens in food. Brewer's yeast, E. coli, Staphylococcus, and Listeria were added to meat and fruit and then treated for 5 minutes on the magnetic disc. Ground chicken and raspberries were chosen for inoculation. This study demonstrates 3 forms of listeria were not reduced in the chicken, but showed almost a 50% reduction in the raspberries. Surprisingly, 1 form of brewer's yeast grew 50% faster in the meat, while another was reduced a similar amount in the fruit. The various forms of E. coli were eliminated in the raspberries, and all forms of Staphylococcus have been significantly reduced. When you immerse food inside a PureWave, there are many examples of how it can prolong the shelf life. Here, cauliflower remains fresh after several days, while unexposed control samples show signs of food spoilage. Research on honey is carried out here.
The first year we had 10 magnets and we were quite happy with it. Last fall we ended up with 30 magnets in the 1B yard.
In this yard here, there's about 30 hives. This yard did not get the discs, and when I came in to unpack the hives, half the yard was dead, and the half that survived, there were barely any bees, and they were not looking good at all. And now in this yard, we wintered 30 hives in here. All 30 got the magnetic disc. When I unpacked it, all 30 were alive and overflowing with bees to the point where I had to split almost every hive in this yard. But it's swarming because they've run out of room. Like, it's just a super strong hive.
Dr. Havas feels that the magnets are improving the immune system of the honeybee as they move through the PureWave magnetic field while foraging for nectar in the farms and forest. Many beekeepers have great success with the magnets, not only having a healthy hive, but they have found an increase in the yield of honey. Education plays an important role with the company that produces the magnets. They organize workshops called 4RBEES to teach a new generation of potential beekeepers how to plant wildflower seeds in open pastures to help support the health and wellness of our insect pollinators. For more information on how you can help save the bees, visit 4RBEES.com.
Gosh, what great videos. You guys did a great job on those. So educational. I love it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, and we're going to continue on because even now we're getting more and more interviews with the beekeepers because I want to give back to the public when they're supporting us. I want to show them what that's doing and where it's going and from the people that it's doing and what changes that's making. So that is a big part of us going back and then dealing with what's the after, because it's ongoing, but it just keeps getting better. And now we have what's called a group chat or a Zoom with all the beekeepers. We get together once a month and we go through, because some of them are in Texas, then they're up in Canada, they're over in New England, and then they're over in Africa. So they get to share what's going on in their areas, what food sources, and we can make changes. So it's getting to a bigger, this is the part that gets it going. But for people, what's happened, we've had thousands of these that have gone up for personal use because people use it. They put it under their pillow when they sleep at night because it's going to interfere with 5G stuff. They have it on their stomach. We have a little pouch it goes in, or a body pack, for pathogens and parasites. We have practitioners now that just sell it to their clients for gut health and all kinds of situations like that, because it'll affect, because again, what's a pathogen? A pathogen's a frequency. That's all it is. Yeah. So is disease, by the way. So is everything to do with whatever we get sick on. It's a frequency that we're dealing with. Same with food when you break it down, right? So what we want to do is get to the root of it and then affect that, right? That's what we're, because that's kind of how you get sick. That's why it's invisible, right? It comes in, it affects, and your whole frequency changes. You saw that body and the frequencies, because your body is an amazing and just an amazing unit that what it's doing every day, right? So we want to kind of work with it as opposed to have side effects where you go in and you deal with a symptom, not the cause. So you and I go out drinking, where we have a lot of alcohol, we have a huge headache the next day, which is the symptom, right? But the cause is dehydration. right? So
Mhm.
you take a pill, it cuts the pain, but it didn't deal with the hydration. So once you hydrate, the headache goes away and so forth. And that's pretty much how we operate. That was a simple example. But that's how you want to be healing yourself, is you want to get to the cause, not the symptom, right? And this is, and frequency is getting to the, gets to the cause, right?
Yeah. So obviously we can't, claim that's going to cure, treat or anything like that. But what have you noticed through testimonials, people that take a tablespoon, like you're talking about, a day of the energized honey?
Yeah, well, you nailed it. There is no such thing as cure, because the body cures itself. The body always
Yeah.
fixes itself. The only thing that fixes you is your body. What we do is we interfere with it fixing it. So there is no such thing as that we're doing something where we cure something. What we're doing is allowing the body to get back to fix itself. So when you have something like honey that's energized, first of all, the body recognizes it. So when you have a foreign kind of sugar or foreign substance, the body goes, wait a minute, we don't recognize this, so we'll store it. That's what they do. The body will store what it doesn't recognize or doesn't assimilate. Well, this honey is one of the natural. It comes in, the body goes, we knows exactly what this is and what to do with it. And that's what's going to. Now, honey's great anyway. Like most honeys are really good if it's real honey, because there's a lot of honey that's been messed with. You're like, when you're buying that cheap honey at the grocery store, that's not real honey. It's been mixed and stuff, just like olive oils like that too. So when you're with real honey, it's a great healer anyway. Now this honey is just on another level.
Mhm.
So it's not curing you. What it's doing is working with you to ward off what is bothering you or what is upsetting or what is causing you problems. Same with the PureWave Cell. It's not curing anything. What it's doing, so you put it under your pillow, all of a sudden you're getting the best sleep of your life, or noises in your ears. We're getting testimonies go away because it's interfering with the 5G and so forth. That's all that, with your Wi-Fi, stuff like that. Gut health pathogens do not like this frequency. They balance off of it. It's kind of like different sounds. If people don't like the sound, they'll move away from it. And music's like that. You've seen where people will go in and go, I just hate this music, and they'll move away. Well, that's the same as pathogens. If they don't like that frequency, they move out, right? So it's pretty cool how that works. So we have that. And then, of course, cleaning the food. The reason that more so in the States, you go in and you'll see entire aisles that are for digestive problems, like Pepto-Bismol, things like that.
Right.
Well, that's because you've been mildly food poisoned with what you ate. That's why you're having all these problems. So what we want to do is you just take your food, fish, chicken, and things, and put it on the cell before. You can put it in the fridge and put it away. And then when you eat it, that stuff isn't in there. You're not ingesting it. Right. So that helps your health a lot. And then, of course, magnets are fabulous for pain reduction, or what we call inflammation. So you start to use that in painful areas. It's the research is through the roof that what it'll do for reducing pain, which is mostly caused from inflammation. Inflammation is the number one cause that's causing all kinds of pain, particularly as we get older. And which, again, is back to food source. What you're eating will cause that inflammation. So it's a domino, right? So you can use these things for helping you with that. And people use it for their pets as well.
Nice.
When you're sitting where you are doing your show, you have put a little cushion, but put the cell under the cushion and just sit on it and forget about it. See what happens, right? Things like that. But so here we'll talk about it. It has a 12-inch radius around it that's been tested at full strength, then it dissipates. So you need to keep it close. So we have a body pack, so you can put it on your stomach, you put it on your leg, or you can put it on your seat or whatever, and just use it. The people just have, if you go into a restaurant, have it so that when the food comes out, you don't know what's going on in that kitchen. Just give it 5 minutes and away you go. So it has so many uses. It's not just one thing, right? Yeah.
So here was let's look at this one. On my property for 25 years straight, I've had bees nest in my maple trees. This past summer, nothing. So if you were to give Darren some advice, would you place one of these, pure cells or pure waves in the tree somewhere, and then that would probably create the frequency that the bees could come back?
Yeah. Oh, it will attract them, because it will attract. So if there's bees that want to do something in that tree, it'll definitely attract them, because the bees are attracted to those frequencies and lines. That's they deal on those invisible frequencies, bad and good, right? That's where they're dealing. So you'll all of a sudden have it where all of a sudden they're there, and not just them, other insects as well.
Necessarily have to have a beehive, because the bees are nesting in the trees. He would just protect the tree, and the bees would be happy and do their thing. Right? Yeah. Wow.
We actually have people send us, and we can bring up and show you the picture, a plant. It was a pepper plant it was wilted, and they thought, well, I'm not going to water it. There's another thing. You can put the water on the PureWave cell to then feed your plants too. But they decided they weren't going to water it. So what they did is they just took the plant, put it on the PureWave cell for 4 hours. All the leaves came back up without any water, right? So we actually have this stuff like that. We can show you in other shows, that befores and afters, and it still blows my mind, because I don't think about ways to use it. Right?
Yeah. Tracy is like smiling. We're gonna like this disc is gonna go all over the place.
Use it. And there's a little booklet.
Several of them,
use that booklet. But it's great, and the honey, definitely use that. But here's the biggie: is that. And we honor that you have done this, and with the show, when we get this going, where these products go out, and we have now thousands of cells that are in people's hands, that personally, and we have thousands of beekeepers, but we really don't want to lose track of the mission, which is get these pollinators up, get this change, because and the people are getting benefit for themselves, but then they're doing that as well. So it's a win-win. So when you're buying it for yourself, that's being contributed to the very thing we're talking about going out and doing. So that was the idea that I had behind it, is how do you combine those two things, that it's a win-win for the people, where they're not just giving money, they're getting benefit for it, and then they're also making a change.
Do you want to look at the video, the PureWave cell implants?
What the video what was I thinking about on this, about because we were just talking about this. There's a honey video. You could show what we do with that. But there's also there was something. If you want to see a little bit about what the beekeepers think of it, or what's going on with them, we can look at that. But Lisa can bring up the plant picture, if you like. Let's do that, because we were talking about plants. So she says, Lisa says, you have there you go. So that was sent to us about with and without the cell, and no water. Yeah.
That's
so
incredible.
that was people send us this. I didn't think to do this at all. And so anyway, that's kind of giving you that idea. But if you want, we can also look at what we do with the honey, sort of like how we treat it and stuff like that. There's that we can look at, or you can hear from the beekeepers. It's up to you, whatever you'd like.
Okay. Lisa, could you put the beekeepers back up? We got a beekeeper map too. There it is. Thanks.
Yeah, that'll show you where we are.
Hi, Brent from 4RBEES. With all the success we're having this year, we just would love to show you and let you hear from our beekeepers. And a huge shout out to our 1,000 Bee a Month Club members. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you. Take a look at what your support has done and the millions of bees and wild pollinators you have helped to save. We've never thought it would get this big, but what we're very humble and thankful for is all your continued support. And the bees thank you too. We are just so blessed to hear from our customers on how the PureWave Cell has been changing and helping their lives every day. Just listen to what they have to say.
At the beginning of the season, Terry gave us one of the 4RBEES cells, and we put that cell right on top of our queen excluder. And what we've noticed is it has just exploded with energy, and the bees have just become stronger and stronger, and we've been opening up the frames, and there's just more and more brood happening. all the frames were full of honey. And this last time, maybe about 2 weeks ago, we opened up the hive and went into each one of the frames, and we started to notice eggs, and there was brooding eggs inside. And I haven't put a queen in there. I ordered a queen, anticipating that we were going to have to do an actual split of the white and gray hive, but naturally we have a queen.
So in this yard that has the discs, they were just overflowing with bees. We ended up splitting almost every hive in this yard. So we made up new hives out of these hives. So it's just amazing that, you know, not only were we able to split every hive in here, but to get a good crop on top of that is rare.
So we have these three have the PureWave cells. What we notice is that the ones with the PureWave cells, they're just so much calmer. We didn't have any attack us, and you can feel like they're not anxious. Where the other hives, they tend to be more on guard. These three produce more honey over the course of the summer. They were just working bees. So yeah, they're just a nice treat to work with.
Wow, that is so good, because the bees are happy in those hives too. They're not all anxious like they talked about. That's really, really amazing.
Yeah, they calm down because again, the agitation comes from what they're just like with us, like, right? When we're in certain environments, and I'm sure you've had that, where you're just wired, right? You know, you're going, hey, I got to get out of here. I'm just feeling like I'm ready to explode here. And the bees are the same. We're all connected, right? So it's pretty amazing. And again, if you'd like to show, what we do with the actual honey, because that will show the instrument that we actually treat it with, and it shows a little bit before and after. So that's something that might interest your audience.
Okay.
If you are a honey connoisseur, you'll want to experience PureWave Energized Honey. It comes from the open pastures of the Grey Highlands, located in southern Ontario, Canada. The unique blend of nectar from wildflowers are a favorite for honeybees that pollinate open fields, farms, and forests within the Greater Golden Horseshoe Greenbelt. These bees produce one of the finest honeycombs in the world and are now under great stress. Pesticides are weakening the bees' immune system. It contributes to the growth of deadly pathogens. But there's a solution to that problem: this PureWave Cell. It generates a quantum force field of spiral magnetic energy. It has been scientifically proven to deactivate pathogens. When placed inside a beehive, apiaries report an abundance of honey and healthy bees that survive Canada's frigid winters. The honey that comes from PureWave hives is raw, creamed, unpasteurized, and then energized using a special patented quantum technology. PureWave honey is a premium private labeled product packaged in a licensed facility that meets FDA and Canadian Food Inspection Agency regulations. It is then shipped to warehouses in Canada and the USA for further processing using the Chrysalis Energizer. The honey is bathed in the special frequencies originating from rotating neodymium magnets. The Chrysalis Energizer is manufactured here near Toronto, Canada. This is where the secret ingredient of a unique patented quantum technology was developed and brought to reality. It was originally developed as a Class 1 medical device.
What we're really dealing with here is magnetism into a geometric form and then putting motion to it. So what we have in the instrument is a very specifically cut neodymium magnets, very powerful, set into a sacred geometry shape, 12 of them inside. Then we put this into a situation into 3D. Then we place it where there's 5 of these placed in sequence in here.
Magnetic viewing film displays the pattern of the magnets that pulse the magnetic field as it rotates inside the 3 cylinders. The field intensity increases proportionally with the frequency that is selected. Years of research went into testing the device to determine the ideal frequencies and duration of exposure to fully saturate the honey. A magnetic probe attached to an oscilloscope shows the dominant frequency and the unique shape of the quantum wave. Electrography can be used to visualize the effect of the rotating magnetic field. A vial of honey is placed on the energizer. The corona discharge shows the amount of electrical conductivity of the raw honey. After energization, the entire content of the vial has become more conductive to electron flow. The electrographic image of the honey is used on the logo.
We wanted to then draw from what we've configured into the instrument and put it into a standalone unit. And this is what we use to go in the beehives.
A PureWave cell will emit a corresponding frequency and magnetic field if you rotate it. If you move the cell over your body, it will absorb your bioelectric field. The meter shows over 2,000 volts per meter emanating from inside the cell. Both the PureWave cell and the honey are sold directly to the consumer online. And you will find their products in stores that feature apiary products too. They are manufactured by 4RBEES, a company that provides a solution to beekeepers that want to maintain healthy, disease-free hives. Connoisseurs all over the world appreciate their energized nectar from nature.
Wow, that's incredible. So, I all these things come into my head, people at work, they get stress at work, and, if they get a little pillow and sit on one of these magnets, might calm them down. They have better performance at work. Who knows? That's
no, it's getting all over the place. But everything we're showing is how this sort of organically took its own form. Like it wasn't planned out this way in the beginning. It was help the bees, but then we found out, wow, the honey's amazing, and then we did, and that instrument that I was showing you that we treat the honey with, it's a class 1 medical device. I was putting that in the lab, and I had people coming, and they were getting rid of all kinds of problems. I just didn't want to go down that path of treating people. So that just wasn't my course. That's why I went with the bees. But that instrument is amazing. I can change frequencies to exactly what I want that match what NASA did research on. So I know, so like a formula, I'm getting exactly what I'm looking for. So I still, to this day, I use that all the time instead of PEMF mats. And that instrument you saw, it can go up to 6,600 RPMs in actual speed and hold it. If you've ever tried that in a car, to what that sounds like is that it was incredible to get it to where it was quiet at those higher speeds, but I could do amazing things. Once I got those frequencies, it was crazy what it was doing, right? So, and I still practice to figure these things out on my own, but that's not something that can, readily is available to the public, right? It's a, it's a pretty, it looks like a little Ark of the Covenant is what the thing looks like. It's a little, about that size, right? So, but anyway, that's what you get with the honey. The honey was the benefit out of there, right?
Yeah. And of course, you can use it on your food, like we're talking about. You use it when you're, I don't know, you're sleeping, like you're talking about. I got to try that now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be good.
Sleeping's the best, because that's when you're in the 4th state. That's when you're healing, and it works really great with sleep wherever you want to put it. Don't forget your pets too. If you got an ailing pet, we've got people use it. We have all kinds of testimony from dogs and cats, and now birds. So it's people love, that's their their love and joy is their pets, and they want to make sure they're healthy too.
Oh, very good. And looks like you got one last thing. There's a beekeeper mat that we put up here.
Yes. We like to show people where we are now in the world. These are everywhere you see a black dot is where we have beekeepers.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we're really starting to spread out and start to make a difference. But next year, we really hope to just, that's going to go up 10 times or so. And then we'll get the feedback from them and start making other changes. And now we're changing the world as opposed to just our local area.
Yeah, and you don't have beehive collapse up in Canada with those crazy temperatures up there in the winter, and to come back and they're like thriving. That's crazy.
Yeah, we packed them for the winter with the cells in it, right? So it was that's what he was talking about. It blew him away because he opened them up and they were like going crazy.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's amazing. So the link is in the description box, and then Jacob for 20% discount, as you saw in some of the videos and stuff. That's in the description box as well. So Brent, totally enjoyed this. This was like this is better than going to school. School can be boring, but this is like absolutely exciting and informative. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this video. I hope everybody sees it. So it's great. Good job.
And our gratitude. Thank you for having us on and allowing us to speak with you and your audience and share what we're doing and continue to get better at it, to get better at showing what we're doing so people can count on it and they can say, yeah, I'm liking this of what this is doing, what's going out there. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brent. This is so exciting, and we'll look forward to having you back on again.
Me too. Thanks again.
Thank you.